It's 2025. Do you know where your kids are? Or it's 10 p.m. Do you know how much your streaming service costs? Streamyard just raised its prices. This is a better option. If you're watching this video, you probably got an email like I did, where Streamyard is raising its prices again. Oh, Streamyard, that old duck. You can pay a significant amount of money, $431.88. If you go to pricing over here, you can see that they are charging free if you want their giant ugly duck logo, which I am still convinced they made ugly on purpose so that you'd want to pay to get rid of it. In 2025, they sent out this email. We are reaching out to inform you about the upcoming renewal of your core plan. And basically they pitch a bunch of stuff and they're saying that it's going to be $431.88. That is more than I want to pay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you to the option that I found that I think will be really good. So if you're streaming to YouTube or Twitch or whatever, and you want to get away from StreamYard because of whatever reason, I recommend VDO.Ninja. I don't know if you pronounce that VDO.Ninja or what, but if you go there, it basically has this type of setup and it's everything that you need. The only thing that it doesn't do, or at least that I haven't found that it does, is pull up specific comments on the screen, like StreamYard pulls up with specific comments on the screen. But you can have guests, you can screen share, and you can screen share multiple things at the same time, which is something that StreamYard didn't do. I'm just going to take you through a quick room setup here. So if I enter a name, click this little button, it generates a random name for you. You can add a password here. You've got a couple options. Now, what they're talking about is the presenter is somebody who is on screen, right? And so if the director, which is the person setting up the thing, is going to be on screen as well, like I normally am, then you would click the director will be performing as well, right? And then this one, the guests can see the director, but not the other guests' videos. I don't know why you do that unless you have a lot of people on the stream side. Leave that unchecked. Leave everything else as default. They've got some tips that are pretty good. And then you just go enter the control room, okay? And so here's what the control room looks like. You've got a number of guests down here, and then you have these two boxes, okay? You've got this click here for a quick overview, and these are some tips and stuff. I'd recommend reading those. You have invite a guest. This link here that you can just copy by clicking copy there. This link here will get a guest into this thing, right? And it's really simple. They just need a browser. I've tested it on a Mac and a PC, on Chrome and on Firefox, and also on my iPhone. And it seemed to work just fine on all of those. You give somebody this link and they'll be able to log on. You want to make sure that they enable their camera and their mic and, normal live streaming stuff. But it's browser-based, just like StreamYard was, because I think they've raised their prices too much. I'm hoping this video just takes off and everybody jumps to this plugin situation for OBS, which is awesome. So that's how to get a guest in. Over here, you've got a group scene, okay? So I'm going to add myself as a guest. So let's copy to clipboard, and then I'm going to paste that into a browser here. Allow paste, okay? And so what we're seeing here is it says these two options, right? Do you want to share your screen, or do you want to do room with a camera? So I'm going to join a room with a camera. I'm going to allow, waiting for camera to load. There I am. Okay. So, and then I'm going to click start here, and you can see that I show up here. I now have this camera source. If I click on this little orange button up here as a director, then you can see kind of that camera, right? That's what the audience is going to see. I'm going to get rid of that and go back to my thing, okay? If I added another one, it would also show up down here. You can add multiple sources, okay? So we're just going to kind of lean this guy off to the side here. I'm going to add myself as a guest. So I'm going to go here like this, and let's go enable director's microphone and camera, and I'll click allow here and allow here. I've got myself on my MacBook and myself on my iPhone. This could be a guest, and this is you, obviously. You can record from here. You got a bunch of controls. This kind of looks overwhelming. I wouldn't get too concerned about it. But now what you can see is that we've got both scenes here, or both guests, one from my phone and one from my laptop. So what you're doing here is you're creating this scene up here, okay? And you can have auto add guests so that anybody with the link can jump on. You can add a password if you want. Don't give that link out to, random people so they don't kind of bomb your stream. But you copy this link, you're going to add it into OBS as a source, which I'm going to let you figure out how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, go watch an OBS tutorial, right? But you're going to add that into OBS, but you can customize it. So you can have all of these things in here like this. And so if I add a label here and I go MacBook, okay, and that's my MacBook. And then I add a label here and I go iPhone. That's my iPhone, okay? Then I go up here under Customize on the Capture Group scene. I click Customize and I go Show Display Names. What you will notice is that it doesn't look like anything changes, but what changes is the URL. So this URL just changed. And so I would need to add that as an input into OBS. So every time you make a change in the customize on a capture a group scene, it updates the URL for a new URL. It just changes the URL. So you change that URL in your OBS scene and it'll change to include or exclude whatever settings you have turned on or turned off. You can have one URL with specific settings and another URL with different settings as two different inputs, one in one scene and one in a different scene in OBS. And that way, if you wanted to do something like show active speakers right here, where if one person talks, they become active on the screen at full screen, and then the other person talks, they become active at full screen, kind of like Google Hangouts used to do. You just copy this link and kind of move it over. I can share screens, and so if I click down at this button down here, I can go share screen, allow, and it'll ask me which screen I want to share. I'm going to share my OBS, okay? And so you can see my OBS is being shared, and then my two inputs are over here on the right. And this is what my OBS looks like, and you can see that I've got my little TV deal here. I've got the scroll deal here. These are all inputs, right? And so if I wanted to add an input, I can go like this, click on browser, okay? And I'd click OK there. And then I would copy and paste that URL from VDO.Ninja to the OBS browser input source. And that'll give you that stream. You can also go in and do individual streams. And so I can come in here and right at the bottom, you'll see copy solo view link. Okay, and that copy solo view link, that's going to be the URL just for your guest, right? Or just for you or whatever. And you can put that in. So if you want to build a whole scene in OBS, then you can use VDO.Ninja to get all of the people talking remotely to each other, right? And the latency is pretty good. We just tested it. I'm in Idaho, my buddy's in Arizona, and we didn't have any latency issues. It was great. You can build a scene in OBS by kind of taking those inputs individually, this button at the bottom, copy solo view link. So this is free, which is awesome. It doesn't have a giant ugly duck logo on it, which is also awesome. And it inputs into OBS, which is awesome as well. So that is my solution. I'm hoping everybody switches. If this was helpful, do all the things. Do all the things to show the algorithm gods that it was helpful. And you'd like to be entertained by my art, then go check out my comic in the description here at the bottom at CoryKerr.com/comic.